Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Kirsty, from our little conversation before, I understand that you had the first session with me. And remind me, what was the rule that you...
The rule that we had come up with was the exception of sugar in my coffee between now and the day I die. The only sweet taste I will be tasting will be from whole fruit and berries.
So we said between now and the day that you die, with the exception of the sugar in your coffee, the only sweet taste in your diet would be whole fruit and berries.
Correct.
And then what happened?
I think I pushed the envelope of what sugar in my coffee was, and that little bit of sugar sweet in my coffee turned into daily pumpkin spice lattes from Starbucks. The other thought process that was going on in my head was, in my mind, one rule. I think I knew in the future there would be more rules, and that I would want to put the brakes. So there were other ways then that I was with sugar. So there was the pumpkin latte thing that I think was really pushing what the definition should have been. But then there were other ways that I was tending to act out and overeat because it wasn't sugar related, but I knew in my mind that those were also areas that I was not comfortable overeating in my sanity. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather not be overeating in those areas, but because the only rule that we had was sugar, I was giving myself license to overeat in other ways. So that messed with my head a little bit, I think. And then I just pretty much just sort of kind of went over the edge and stopped doing it at all. So that's sort of the progression of how it happened.
Okay, it's good that we know. What were the other ways that you were overeating?
Eating when I wasn't hungry, eating for reasons other than hunger, and then also, I guess that's the main thing, just knowing that I was eating for other reasons than when I was truly hungry.
How do you know when you're truly hungry?
When I'm truly hungry, any food would satisfy my hunger. When I'm eating for other reasons, a specific food or a specific thought of a food comes into my mind, nothing else will satisfy that craving. Oftentimes I feel full. I eat till I'm very overfull and my stomach hurts. So I know for a fact that I'm not hungry because when I eat, even though I'm eating, I'm overfull.
Okay. There are a few issues here, and I want to kind of go over the options that we have. And by the way, you're being very brave and honest and talking through everything that happened, and there is definitely a solution.
Okay, good. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. So first of all, it sounds like it's possible that the exception where sugar was allowed in your coffee, maybe that wasn't necessarily the best idea for you because then it turned into a little bit of coffee in your sugar, right?
Exactly.
The other thing I remember about what really motivated you, because there is no 100% right way to eat, I can't really tell you where these lines should be, but what I remember about what motivated you was when we looked at the future if you stopped eating sugar, and you had a whole long list of things that you really wanted to occur. And then we talked about your pig's argument for you to keep eating sugar, and it was telling you that you're going to feel too deprived, but it didn't say anything about you being deprived of that future. And I remember that was very motivating to you when you realized that your pig was tricking you by only telling you one side of the deprivation story. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I remember that being kind of an aha moment for me, that the things that my pig was telling me I was going to be deprived from kind of paled in comparison to the things that I was really being deprived from when I continued to act out with my eating.
Do you remember what those things were?
The things that I'm actually being deprived of?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In fact, later, after we got off the call, I made a list of things that actually kind of grew, fitting into clothes that I enjoy wearing and liking how I look in the mirror. not needing to worry about my blood sugar numbers creeping up back again after having had diabetes in the past, and I kind of hover around a pre-diabetic range now. Having more energy, not being tired in the evenings and wanting to conk out after dinner. Feeling really good about myself again, not just how I look, but also in feeling like I am confident and competent with things that I set out to do. Going on bike rides to be able to keep up with my husband, who really enjoys biking. We bought new bikes this summer, and I am always feeling like I'm sort of holding him back. I would love to be able to keep up with him. Feeling comfortable doing yoga. I attempt to do yoga, but I'm pretty self-conscious in my yoga classes because my body just doesn't move the way I want it to at this size. Feeling achy in my knees when I have been standing all day. That's something that when I'm at a smaller weight doesn't happen. Just being at peace with my body and with food and not feeling like it's controlling me. Feeling like I'm fighting off the diseases of old age that tend to kind of accompany a bad eating style. Those are the main things, and they're pretty compelling.
Very compelling list of basically life, basically be able to live your life.
Yeah. Oh, and another one that I felt like was just trusting myself again and believing that I can keep my own promises.
So with all those things considered, do you feel like we should eliminate the exception, or do you want to come up with another exception?
Well, what I was really wondering, because a part of what was in my mind in the past when I've been successful, my personality kind of responds better rather than making small changes over time. I have in the past responded better to making bigger changes and setting my mind to them and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I think a part of what was sort of niggling in my brain, in the back of my mind, was sugar isn't really my only issue. And I kind of started to say this before. I know that there are going to be other areas I would like to control with my eating. And so it kind of felt like...
One last hurrah?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, someday I'm going to have to put the brakes on all of it. And so in the meantime, I think that was sort of driving some of my overeating. I was wondering if it would be appropriate to have a more complete list of the things that I want to change for the long haul and jump in all the way rather than just having one rule of sugar.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I think there are people that do a lot better when they put it all in place all at once. The only caution about that is that can be a little difficult to accomplish in one session. One of the reasons that I start slowly on people's worst trigger is that I want them to have the experience of understanding how to hear the pig and dismiss it and see that they can take the power back. But given what you're describing, I think it's a fabulous idea.
Okay. Tell me if this is for later or you want to talk about this later. But some things that I really noticed when I was controlling my pig, when my pig was caged for a couple weeks, was that I was less angry at myself. I saw the pig as something outside of me. And I think that was a new feeling that I had to see it as something that I wasn't doing. I was able to separate myself from my pig. And that was really a new feeling for me, and it felt really good.
You are more than your appetites. You have goals and dreams and aspirations, and this pig is just something that it's really our midbrain. It's just your survival drive that's gone wrong. We unfortunately have to live with it, but you're not your pig. You've got the idea exactly right.
I felt like, wow, that was just a really transformational feeling of feeling like that I'm not my pig and that I'm not bad. That was a good thing. I think that if I could, for my personality, kind of come to terms with all of the changes that I want to make and put those in place, that might be better. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the first thing would be the sugar rule. Do you want to amend that to say there are no exceptions?
Mm-hmm.
The only sweet taste you will ever have between now and the day that you die is whole fruit and berries. Period. End of story?
Yes. So not even in my coffee.
And does that include fruit juice, because fruit juice would not be whole fruit and berries, so your pig couldn't wiggle out of that, right?
Correct, and same thing with dried fruit, because I find myself, if I allow myself to eat dried, like raisins or cranberries, that can quickly become a danger zone for me too. So I think whole fruit and berries is key.
It has a much higher glycemic load if you have the sweets without the fiber. Okay, so we know what to do with the sugar. Now, is the only other problem that you eat when you're not hungry?
I think refined carbohydrates, highly refined processed carbohydrates are a problem for me. Maybe that's a similar same kind of thing as the sugar thing, but it has a little bit different crackers and breads and things like that aren't sweet, but they sort of have that same hit to me. So I would also like to eliminate processed, refined carbohydrates or flours.
Is that all flour?
Yeah.
So you will never eat flour again between now and the day that you die.
Yeah.
What about alcohol?
Alcohol I would like to be conditional because there's once in a while when my husband and I go out to dinner and I'll have a glass of red wine. I don't abuse alcohol. I don't feel drawn to it. I don't feel compelled to drink it in any other setting. So I feel fine with that.
We're totally eliminating sugar and flour. How else could your pig have a party without sugar and flour?
With high-fat foods like nuts and nut butters, oils, and refined high-fat foods.
Okay, so nuts and oils. Did you say cheese in there or no?
Oh, yeah, I don't do dairy. I don't do dairy or meat.
Gotcha. You're a vegan.
I'm a vegan. So it's the highly processed vegan kind of junk foods and high-fat, high-sugar foods that I tend to abuse.
I spent some time with those too a couple of years ago. I know.
Okay. So you feel like you're eating really healthy because you're a vegan, but it ends up not being so much.
It's not, I know. It's possible to be a junk food vegan.
Yeah.
So nuts and oils. And do you have any thoughts about what we should do with those?
I think those should be eliminated.
Completely?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I've tried to just have an ounce of nuts a day, and they turn into handfuls, kind of like the sugar in my coffee.
In nature, they would only be available in the autumn anyway. So it's not like we really are dependent on them.
Yeah, and they would be in the shell, so they'd be a lot harder to eat a handful of.
Yes. You get really tired really quickly.
Yeah.
What about seeds? Is that included in nuts and oils?
Yeah, typically I'll have a tablespoon of flaxseed in my oatmeal, but I don't see that in the same way. But seeds in terms of like sunflower seeds, things like that are more kind of handful kinds of things, yeah. So I'd say with the exception of a tablespoon of flaxseed a day, I will eliminate all seeds and nuts and oils.
With the exception of a tablespoon of flax oil a day, you will never have nuts, seeds, or oils again.
Yes.
Where are you going to get your calories?
I'm going to get my calories from whole starchy foods like potatoes, squashes, beans, legumes, whole grains like brown rice, quinoa.
Okay, you're going to follow a whole foods plant-based diet.
Yeah, fruit and vegetables.
And fruit and vegetables. Mm-hmm. And between the tablespoon of flaxseed and the greens that you have, you feel like you have enough omega-3s and everything?
Yeah, that's the purpose of the flaxseed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a nutritionist, by the way. I just know a lot about this stuff, and I'm not a nutritionist, so I always have to make that disclaimer when we talk about specific foods.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, how else could your pig have a party? If we take away flour, sugar, nuts, seeds, and oil, how could your pig have a party?
I don't really think it can. I think that's a pretty clean way of eating. I suppose my pig could still have a party if I ate to the point of being uncomfortably full. That would be the one way that would still give it license to, yeah. So eating beyond feeling comfortably full.
How would you define that? How do you know when it's time to stop?
I have a really hard time with that. I know when it's not time to start. So when I feel stomach hunger, I can often wait until I really feel a good growl in my stomach or a nice, real empty feeling in my stomach, and that's a good cue, and I can hear that cue. What's harder for me is to when to stop. That's harder for me to hear.
So do we need something that says, I only ever begin eating again when my stomach is growling? I'd rather use your words.
Yeah, I suppose that that's easier to define than I will only ever begin eating again when I feel true stomach hunger. A growl is a very specific cue that would be hard to take license with. So I like the way you said it.
Okay. Ideally, Kirsty, what we want is something that if 10 people ever followed you around for a week, and they never will, but if they ever did, they would all agree that you were on it or you're off it. It's a little bit squishy because it's an internal subjective measure, but it sounds like it might work for you.
Okay, I think so.
Now let's talk a little bit more about how to know when it's time to stop.
Okay.
What I've found with the people that I've worked with is that they tend to do better with portion control when they insert pause. What that looks like for some people are things like, I will never take a second plate of food again without getting up from the table, breathing, and taking 60 seconds to think about whether I really want it or not. Not everybody likes that, but the people who do, they really like it because it just inserts that mindful time to break the compulsion if there's some compulsion with the portion control.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Kind of take a break, stop the pattern of feeding. I don't know how else to say it, but like that just hand to mouth, I just keep eating because it's there kind of thing.
Take off the feedback.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I like that. Tell me what you said again. I will never again take a second plate of food. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I will never go back for seconds without a 60-second pause again.
Okay. Before refilling my plate. Okay. Or getting seconds, yeah. Because it wouldn't just be like a whole. Okay.
So let's see, how many rules do we have here? We have a never for sugar. We have a never for flour. We have a conditional for, well, it's really a never for nuts and oils with one exception. There's enough food in your diet otherwise to keep you satisfied and nutritionally full from what you're describing. It sounds like there is. You're only going to start eating, so that's a conditional, and we have 5 rules. Okay, it's manageable.
Yeah, 5. Okay. That's actually a nice number.
Let's give your pig a chance to beat you here, okay?
Okay.
Will you ever eat anything sweet again between now and the day that you die, other than whole fruit and berries? What are all the reasons your pig says you have to do that?
What if I'm celebrating? That's the first thing that came to my mind with Christmas around the corner. How do I celebrate? Which sounds silly in my sane moments sitting here talking to you, but in the moment at a Christmas party feels pretty hard to quiet, hard to resist.
Well, because your pig says that a Christmas party is impossible to enjoy without sugar, right?
Mm-hmm. That I'll stand out somehow, that I'll be the one who is always, oh, she's always on a new diet kind of thing.
And what if you do? What if you do stand out and you're the one on a new diet?
I guess it really doesn't matter what other people think.
Does it?
It shouldn't. No, it doesn't. Because I'm doing this for my long-term health and being able to enjoy and live my life, and that's what I truly want.
You have the option of making an exception if you really want to or coming up with a different plan. What you've described to me in that long list of things, which were, I mean, some of them were life-threatening, seems to me that tolerating a little bit of people wanting to make fun of you because you're eating differently, which is really just them feeling embarrassed about the way that they're eating, right?
True. That's a good way to think of it. Uh-huh.
Why else will you ever need to eat even one bite of anything sweet besides whole fruit and berries again between now and the day that you die?
My pig tells me that I'll miss it,
Uh-huh.
that I'll be really sad if I can't do that.
Who's going to be sad, you or the pig?
The pig. Yeah, the pig.
That's how you do it. You enforce the separation at that point. You recognize that the feelings exist. It's a physiological feeling. You might feel a craving, but it's the pig that's feeling the craving. If you let this go forever, if you cut sugar out of your life forever, you're going to thrive and the pig's going to be miserable, and too bad for the pig.
Okay, I like that.
What else? Why else will you ever need to have even one bite of something sweet other than whole fruit and berries between now and the day that you die?
I can't really think of it. It's just those are the two things that everybody else gets to and I don't, and that I would be missing out, that I would miss it and it would make me sad. But I think nothing else really comes to my mind that I have to have, that it doesn't offer me any real benefit to my life.
You know, Kirsty, I was just watching a documentary that was going through the scientific case for why in about 15 years, 51% of the United States population is going to have diabetes. I was thinking that one way we could reframe this is that everybody else gets to have diabetes and you don't.
Huh. I'm going to write that down. Yeah, that's great.
Let's look at the flour then.
Okay. Well, it's the same issue, really. Oftentimes the sugar and the flour go hand in hand, but it's also those other things, the breads and the crackers and all the refined snacky foods.
Is there any reason that you'll ever have even one bite of any type of flour again between now and the day that you die?
No, there's no reason why I need it.
What does your pig think?
My pig thinks all the same things it thought about the sugar, but I think we've answered those. Those are also contributors for diabetes, so I can tell it the same thing. Everybody else gets to have diabetes, but I don't. I like that a lot. That's really powerful to me.
Good. And with the exception of a tablespoon of flax oil, are you ever going to have even one bite of nuts, seeds, or oils between now and the day that you die?
No. The one thing that comes up with those is it's a quick, easy filler food when I'm out on the run and am hungry and I don't have anything else to eat. That's often what I will bring with me. For instance, we sing in the choir at church, and so sometimes we're there for 4 or 5 hours, and I'll bring a little bag of trail mix. But I could just as easily bring a bag of carrots and celery and cut up apples and be just as satisfied. So I think that's just a matter of convenience. I think that's what my pig tells me. It's not as convenient to bring other foods. That's really convenient food to bring along with you. And so my pig tells me that there will be times when I won't have another choice, that I will only be able to eat those because that's something quick.
What could you get when you're on the road that's available just about anywhere? If you had to get something really quickly and you found yourself in need, you didn't bring your carrots and celery and apples?
I don't know. Do you have something in mind?
Most supermarkets have a decent produce section these days, and there's usually some organic produce, and you usually find a couple of ripe bananas or some grapes or some pears or apples, or I sneak into the bathroom and I'll wash it, or I'll just keep a bottle of water in the car and spill a little bit on it in the parking lot or something like that. Worst case scenario, I'm not a big fan of baked potatoes because they're kind of high glycemic.
Yeah, actually, I don't have a problem with potatoes, so I could bring a couple of cooked potatoes.
The reason I was saying that is that Wendy's sells baked potatoes. You can get them plain. You can find a Wendy's just about anywhere.
That's true. Like sometimes we'll go to Subway, but then if you eliminate the bread, you could get a salad there. Subway has salads, but I like the baked potato because there's some feeling of fullness that comes along with that doesn't come along with just a salad.
It's kind of an easy option.
I just thought of this. My son loves canned garbanzo beans and will take a can of garbanzo beans. He'll open a can of garbanzo beans and just snack them out of the can, and so he'll take those to school for a snack. I could start doing that. I've never done that, but he does that all the time.
That's great.
You can eat them at room temperature. You just drain them and rinse them and put them in a little baggie, and there they are, and they're really filling. So they could be my new snack food.
And I think Goya makes a brand which has a pop-top opener.
Yeah, so I could just put a couple cans in my car for those emergencies and know that they're always there.
Yeah, you never have
So
to go
there you
hungry.
go.
Your pig's going to tell you you're going to starve, but we know better.
I have a lot of reserves. I could tell my pig that, too.
That's true also. You're not going to starve even if you couldn't eat for a couple of days. But as a practical matter, it gets more difficult to discriminate the hungrier you get. You don't have to be comfortable, but it's better if you make yourself comfortable.
Because there's that feeling of desperation when you start to become too hungry. If I felt that growl in my stomach and I couldn't eat, it might be harder to resist that, especially at the beginning.
And it's not necessary in the society in which we live. You don't really have to starve yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, there's pretty much a Wendy's in every place you could imagine.
And the more you do this, the more you'll get little tricks for yourself to carry in the car and things like that. Will you ever begin eating again before your stomach growls between now and the day that you die?
The one thing that comes up with me for that is if we're at an event or a family dinner and I'm just not hungry, but it's time to eat. What do I do then?
So do you want to make that conditional, either at an event or a family dinner?
Yes. I think that would be okay, wouldn't it? Like if there is an occasion that I need to sit down and eat with a group of people, I don't have to say, no, I'm not going to eat because my stomach didn't growl yet.
Yeah, unless your pig starts looking for events 3 times a day, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Other than an event or family dinner, at a formal event or family dinner, will you ever begin eating again before your stomach is growling?
No, I will not.
And what does your pig say?
My pig's being quiet right now. But I think you might say, what if you really want to eat and your stomach hasn't growled yet?
How would you switch the language there?
I would say, well, that's not me really wanting to eat. That's my pig really wanting to eat. And my pig doesn't get to tell me when to eat.
That's exactly right. And the last thing was, will you ever go back for seconds without getting up from the table to pause for 60 seconds before you refill your plate between now and the day that you die?
No, I won't. I don't need to do that. A plate of whole, healthy food is generally going to be enough to satisfy me, but knowing that I could get more if I wanted to, if it's me who wants it and not my pig, I don't have to say I'll never have more than one plate of food again because I will tell my pig whether it's hungry. It won't tell me when I'm hungry.
You'll have that pause to figure it out. Well, how sure are you that you're going to maintain these 5 rules with 100% accuracy between now and the day that you die?
I feel really confident right now. I feel a lot more confident than I did at the beginning of the call. I feel like I just got back in the driver's seat of my eating, and it feels really good.
Good. How confident is that between 1 and 100?
I feel 100% confident right now.
Good. You should be. Tell your pig not to listen for a moment because I need to.
Okay.
It's entirely possible for you to maintain this plan for the rest of your life. That's entirely possible. As a practical matter, if you were to observe someone who's following the process, if you were to observe them from the outside, you'd probably see them fall down once in a while, get right back up again, or wait a little while, then get back up again, and do it again until they really did comply 100%. That's okay, because what you want to avoid is if you happen to make a mistake, which you never will again, but if you happen to make a mistake, you don't want to let the pig tell you that you're too weak and this doesn't work and let me just be back in control again. The method of separating yourself from your internal pig, gaining 100% clarity about where those lines are, and then resolving to never binge again until you never binge again, that's what does the trick. And if you watched anybody that really gets that and stays with it over the course of months and years, you'd see them getting much, much better. That's how people get permanently thin. That's how it happens. But in order to do that on the inside of your head, you have to have this 100% clarity and 100% commitment. It's almost like getting married. You don't get married with a halfway commitment, even though 50% of the couples get divorced these days. If you're going to get married, you get married, and you have 100% commitment, and cheating is not an option. So it's a little bit of a paradox because both of these things are true, but you need to understand the difference between inside your head and what people observe outside so that in the event that anything goes wrong, you can get up again and just get right back to it. There's only two ways things could go wrong. One way is, I call it the chocolate is a vegetable rule, because one time my pig convinced me that cocoa beans come from plants and plants are vegetables.
Yeah, I hear that, yeah.
Could have snuck in some really sneaky logic to get around one of the rules, and the fix for that is to go back to the rule and tighten it up a little more to eliminate that logic. And if your pig is like that, and it sounds like your pig might be a little bit because it talked you into having the pumpkin lattes.
Yeah, that was an adequate amount of sugar for my coffee. Mm-hmm.
We tighten things up a lot today, so I think it's going to have a hard time. But if it is like that, then that just means you may need to tighten up your rules even more. That's all that it means. Or maybe there's another rule that you need that we didn't think through. I worked really hard to try to cover all the bases here because you really wanted something comprehensive.
Yeah, I feel like it really did cover all the bases that I can think of right now. So.
Well, I will send you a copy of this recording.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I hope you have plans to make your pig absolutely miserable over the holidays.
Yes, I think it will be very miserable because it was just about preparing to have a big party. So I think this call was very well timed. It was telling me that I might as well pretty much forget it. So I'm not going to listen to it anymore. This was a well-timed call.
Yeah, that's what pigs do. It's going to work really hard to come up with other reasons to get you to believe that you're too weak to do this, that it's not possible. But you know that it is now.
Yes, I do.
Let me know in a few weeks how you're doing, okay?
Okay, thank you, and you have a good holiday.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit DefeatYourCravingsCoaching.com. That's DefeatYourCravingsCoaching.com. Thanks.